The feeling of compassion is in everyone is an ancient Chinese proverb, meaning that every person possesses a natural sense of pity and empathy for others. The proverb emphasizes that compassion is an innate human instinct, reflecting the Confucian ethical belief that human nature is inherently good. Mencius, 372 BCE, 289 BCE, an ancient Chinese philosopher, used the following analogy: if you saw a child about to fall into a well, would you not immediately rush forward to save them? That instant impulse reveals the purest form of human kindness, the heart of compassion, a sympathetic concern for those who suffer. Whether the person is good or evil, a gentleman or a petty man, the feeling of sympathy arises instantly. This reaction is not to please the child's parents, not to win reputation among neighbors and friends, and not because one dislikes the sound of the child's cries, but because pity and compassion naturally spring from the human heart. This is the sprout of benevolence, Ren, innate to human beings just as our four limbs are. The heart of compassion is said to be an innate human instinct, but is this really true in reality? Even the traditional Chinese children's primer, the three-character classic, begins with the words, "At the beginning of human life, nature is inherently good." Yet in today's modern world, the reality is that compassion is not something possessed by all. In war, soldiers have used their own people as human shields, hidden military bases beneath schools and hospitals to protect their own lives, and even deceived or coerced ignorant youths into becoming human bombs. In Chinese history, Mencius was the greatest thinker second only to Confucius, honored with the title Second Sage. The contrast between his understanding of human nature and the realities we see today is astonishing. According to legend, a rabbit and a fox formed an alliance to resist a hunter's pursuit. When the rabbit was shot and killed, the fox felt sorrow over the rabbit's misfortune. This fable illustrates that as fellow human beings, when we hear of others' misfortunes, we too should feel sorrow, otherwise, we are no better than beasts. Humanity has had more than 5,000 years of civilization, yet some people show no concern even for the life and death of their own kin. If so, how could they possibly respect the lives of others in the world? Are such people not worse than animals? Although today's material civilization has advanced far beyond what existed in the spring and autumn and warring states periods of Confucius and Mencius, the spiritual civilization of humankind has quietly regressed. The development of human civilization is not balanced. While in some highly civilized countries with democratic systems, citizens share a strong sense of cultural identity, work together with unity of purpose, and thereby bring about national prosperity, strength, and a life of peace and contentment for all, in other regions people remain barely removed from a tribal or tribal alliance stage of society. They lack the education of cultural traditions, do not understand propriety, righteousness, integrity, and a sense of shame, and are accustomed to living willfully and unrestrained. As a result, they find it difficult to follow the moral codes of civilized society and cannot live within an environment of law and order. The magnificent Great Wall is a symbol of ancient Chinese civilization, a marvel of human history and architecture that leaves modern people in awe. Yet its construction stemmed from the deep and difficult circumstances of the ancients. They built it out of necessity, not choice. The Great Wall was not erected for sightseeing or tourism, but as a vast military project to defend against the invasions of nomadic tribes from the northern steppes, and to protect Chinese culture from being harmed by the customs of foreign barbarians. However, history has shown that the wall ultimately failed to prevent the plundering of the Central Plains and the destruction of Chinese culture by the northern nomads. In 291 CE, the Western Jin dynasty was torn apart by one of the most devastating internecine struggles in Chinese history, the War of the Eight Princes. This conflict among imperial clans for control of the central government lasted for over 7 years. It left the once powerful Western Jin dynasty weakened, as rival royal factions enlisted nomadic forces to join their struggles. For a long time, the fierce nomadic tribes of the northern steppes were a nightmare for the farming Han people living south of the Great Wall, as they continually raided the Central Plains. Fortunately, in the late Eastern Han period, the warlord Cao Cao successively defeated various nomadic tribes, compelling them to submit. He resettled them in regions such as Shaanxi, and Hebei, and managed them through a policy of Sinicization. He even brought the sons of their chieftains to the capital to live and study, cultivating them into virtuous and capable future tribal leaders. Lu Yuan, a descendant of the Xiongnu, was one such figure. Lu Yuan, 252–310, son of Lu Bao, the left virtuous king of the southern Xiongnu, studied under Han scholars from an early age, receiving a traditional Chinese cultural education. He was well versed in Confucian classics and the art of war, and widely read in works such as Records of the Grand Historian, Book of Han, and the writings of various philosophers. During the Qiao Wei period, Lu Yuan was sent to the imperial court in Luoyang, where he studied the institutions and ceremonial culture of the Central Plains dynasties. During this time, he befriended notable contemporaries such as Wang Hun and Wang Ji, and frequently took part in the Grand New Year celebrations of the Western Jin court. There, he witnessed the majestic spectacle of envoys coming from all directions to pay tribute and experienced firsthand the brilliance and splendor of Chinese civilization. In 304, at the age of 52, Lu Yuan, ambitious yet unable to realize his aspirations, rose in rebellion against the Western Jin court under the urging of his clansmen, following the example of Emperor Gaozu of Han, Liu Bang. He established the state of Han, vowing to put an end to the War of the Eight Princes and restore social order. Lu Yuan rejected the proposal of his kinsman Lu Xian to ally with the Xianbei, Wuhuan, and other nomadic tribes to create a Xiongnu steppe regime. Instead, he traced back to the history of Han-Xiongnu marriage alliances and, in the name of being a nephew of the Han royal family and continuing the line after the fall of his elder kinsman, claimed the legitimate succession of the Shu Han regime. He posthumously honored the last emperor of Shu Han as Emperor Xiaohui and paid tribute to the ancestral tablets of successive emperors of the Lu family. Lu Yuan sincerely regarded himself as a ruler of the Chinese, Huaxia, people. He also modeled his administration on the bureaucratic system of the Central Plains dynasties, establishing positions for central ministries as well as local levels of government.